when people celebrate life, maybe a New Year's celebration, they say, here's to toast to health, prosperity, and happiness, or health, wealth, and happiness. It's about recognizing those three things are so intricately linked that you can't ignore one. You don't want to be the wealthiest man in the graveyard. So it's always making sure that when we sit with clients, we're always thinking about how do we make their life what they want it to be, and money is the means to achieving that.
Hi guys, I'm here at the FAAA Congress, and obviously I'm here on a professional capacity to do all the CPD and collaborating with my fellow colleagues, but really I also wanted to take an opportunity to talk to a number of financial advisors about the intersection between health and money and what they thought about it. So I'm going to go around Congress and speak to as many advisors as I possibly can about the questions that I have around how health is so impactful in their clients' lives, and how money can actually assist and help them with that. So I'm here with FAAA finalists. You might give me the award, Shannon. So Shannon Victor from Oxlade Financial Services.
Yes.
Yeah.
The Gen Next Rising Star of the Year award.
Oh, amazing, amazing. So I just gave you this with no notice.
Yeah.
But I'm doing my podcast is all about health and money at the moment. I just sort of wanted to ask you, what sort of common mistakes do clients sometimes make with their money that might lead to stressful outcomes for them?
I think a really common one, and I personally experienced this, is really just not tracking things. A lot of people come to us and just don't have a budget.
Yeah.
So I think they stress themselves out just not knowing, and then they put their head in the sand and dig a bit further because they are concerned about what they'll find when they actually sit down and do the exercise of auditing their spending. And that stresses people out, and they know they're stressed because of that. And it's something that we can really easily help them fix.
So it's like almost like an awareness of their own situation that is often the issue, right?
Yeah, you can't control what you don't know. And they realize that that's a problem, but they kind of need a bit of a push to actually put a solution in place.
Yeah. And so what sort of ways as a financial advisors do you think we can use money to actually help people with their health rather than money sort of take away from their health?
Yeah, I think the goals conversation is really important there. A lot of clients will come in where they're having these goals that are more money related. And I'm like, money's just the tool to help you live a more fulfilling life. So what are the fulfilling goals? What are the meaningful goals that actually sit underneath that? And it gets people thinking. So, before I meet with a client the first time, I'm sending them through a couple of dot points of how do you want to be living your life today? What do you want to do more of, less of? And sometimes they aren't expecting those kinds of questions.
Do they ever object? And how do you frame like, oh, that's not about money. Why are we talking about?
Yeah.
You try to bring it back to money?
Often it's just about time. It's like, how do you want to spend your time? What do you want to outsource to someone else so that you can spend your time where you want to?
Okay.
So they come in with money goals, and we try and pivot to like the real life goals that matter.
That makes so much sense. You know what? Thank you so much for coming on short notice. I really appreciate it. You nailed it.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks.
4 hours sleep.
Yeah. That's awesome. Thank you.
Thanks.
All right. So I'm here with Kelly King from Iconic Wealth. Now, you're not only a finalist, you're actually a winner of it's a bit of a mouthful. So what is it?
It is the FAAA Inspire Women Excellence in Advice Award.
Okay. So only the cutting edge we have here. And I really wanted to speak to you about this season. For me, it's all about health. And I really wanted to talk to the advisors around here about how you think money actually can impact health, both positively, potentially, and negatively. Are there some common mistakes that people make with their money that can lead to chronic stress, as an example, as a starting point?
Absolutely. Money and knowledge around money is, or lack of knowledge, is one of the biggest stresses. And I find people are affected mental health wise without having enough knowledge around money. And we are the gatekeepers of knowledge. So I think our job is more around educators as opposed to instruction makers. And that helps people with their mental health significantly.
So that's an interesting point. So the idea of just providing financial literacy in and of itself can assist people to feel more confident and therefore alleviate that stress.
Absolutely. And comfort. People want to feel safe. So taking people along for the journey as opposed to just taking over something. I think that comfort helps with alleviating a lot of those stresses and anxieties as well.
Are there any particular money mistakes that people make that often lead to stress?
Impulse, I think, or people trying to catch up quickly and taking risks that they wouldn't normally take. So in the demographic, I'm in the older sort of age group. Sometimes you'll see people going, I need to take more risk.
I need to catch up.
I need to catch up.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably one of the biggest mistakes people can make is making impulsive decisions and taking information, unqualified, unregulated information. That would be one of the biggest mistakes that I see. Absolutely.
That's awesome. So again, congratulations on the award and thanks for your contribution today.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks. So I'm here with Bianca Musico from War Hunt. I appreciate you coming on under such short notice. No worries. And like, as you know, the season is about health. And I really wanted to know from your perspective, what you think financial advice does for clients when it comes to stress alleviation and prevention of health issues later on. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's really important to understand that health and money go hand in hand. So when people are stressed about finances, it then obviously has a negative impact on their mental health, particularly. So for us, we find that if we can provide clients with a plan that gives them as much certainty as possible and enough information to be able to make and decipher the right options when it comes to finances, it all of a sudden is like a weight lifted off their shoulders, right?
Yeah.
And then for them, that mental health part kicks in where they go, okay, I don't need to worry about that. So I can start to live my life how I want to live it. And then they just elevate themselves out of that sort of stress and mental issues, I guess, that they're having at the time.
That makes a lot of sense. But like, what about the advice process or that is fundamental that really helps with that certainty?
Yeah. So for us, it's always been the investment piece,
Okay.
right? So the strategies are there.
Yeah.
They're helpful. And anyone can do them
Yeah.
to some degree.
Uh-huh.
The investment piece becomes really stressful for people.
Uh-huh.
And I've always been of this philosophy, how can you provide as much certainty as possible in a market that is very uncertain, right? Very volatile. I'm not saying that the way that others out there do it is wrong by any stretch, but I do feel like if you harness the right investment philosophy, you can harness some of those returns that are available in the market. It gives a little bit more certainty as to what you're doing, as opposed to just throwing a dart and dartboard, picking a stock and going, let's hope to God that one works.
Yeah.
Let's diversify as much as possible, hold as many stocks as possible. So index investing to some degree, but obviously tweak that index investing. That then provides them a greater level of certainty from an investment perspective. So the strategic part does itself to some degree. The investments are where they're really concerned and worried. So if we can provide that level of certainty, I feel like that's another weight lifted off their shoulders.
Yeah. So it's almost like a worry about their capacity to be able to live their lives the way they want to. And that's linked to their investments. And you're saying, get those investments right, get the certainty, get the confidence up. And then obviously that is a big load off their shoulders.
Correct. And understand that there is so much noise in the marketplace, right? That you can only, to some degree, manipulate what you can manipulate, right? We can't change everything that's happening. So control what you can control. And to some degree, understand how the rest works and understand that control might feel like a roller coaster. But with the right strategy in place, you're actually still on track to reach those alternate goals.
I think that's a brilliant idea and philosophy. And it makes a lot of sense. When worried, give information, educate.
That's exactly right. Make informed decisions. And while it feels really hard at the time, long term, it will pay off to actually stick to the plan.
Awesome. Thanks so much for coming on. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Awesome. I'm very excited to be here with Mark O'Flynn from Oxlade Financial, the winner of the CFP Professional Advisor of the Year Award. So, obviously a big night last night. But I really, as I given you really no notice, but I really wanted to talk to you about how we help our clients effectively with their health, even though it might be an indirect thing, using money to do so. What are the ways in which you help clients with their health when it comes to their money?
Yeah, sure. Probably the first thing is just, if you get your finances in order, then you got more headspace to do other things. So, I'm a big believer in it. The name of our business, Oxlade, actually comes from meeting my wife at the CrossFit gym party.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, you know, I guess, I think money, finances, and if people have their finances, set up, they can get a better sleep, I think, which you probably, everyone knows that, there's a couple of basic things you need to do is sleep, eat, drink, and rest and sort of relax properly. And yeah, people are sleeping well at night about their finances.
Are you able to alleviate some of the overwork that tends to happen when you take a client through a financial advice process? Do you ever see at the back end of it any relief and sort of a change in the way in which they think about their work?
Yeah, that's a awesome point, because a lot of, I think financial advice is not always about saying you got to save and work more. It's actually, in a lot of cases, fortunate with a lot of clients we work with, they're on track to more than exceed their goals. So actually, we like constantly having conversations to say, actually, you don't need to work as hard. You don't need to work as many days. And obviously that frees up the stress to do other things like
Look after your health,
look
go for a
after
walk.
yourself. Yeah. And back into things. So yeah.
Look, thanks so much for contributing to this. Appreciate it. And again, congratulations on the award.
Oh, thank you. I want to say it's been lovely meeting you, spending a bit of time with
Thanks.
you.
Appreciate it, mate.
Yeah.
From Story Wealth, and you're a fellow finalist of the CFP Awards here.
Yes.
And just wanted to ask you a question about, obviously we've got a health-themed season at the moment. So just how money can impact people's lives from a health perspective, from your perspective.
Yes. I think when I have lots of clients come and they have varying levels of health, and when sometimes it does inhibit how they make decisions, I think. So we've got clients that will take extra good care of their health and they're very active and all about fitness and lifestyle. And so that's a really good balance. Especially people that are high achieving professionals who typically work really hard, they do try and balance that out. Then you have people that sacrifice their health a little bit. So they perhaps, put things that they don't have that balance, and they
Why would they do that? Why do they sort of sacrifice? Why do they think they sacrifice their health? Is it something about not having enough time? Is it something to do with their money?
Yes, I don't actually think there's a direct correlation between wealth and health.
Yeah.
Even though if you expect that if you have more financial means that you might be able to afford everything and anything, perhaps it ends up being a distraction sometimes.
Okay.
That high achievement and is added can actually
Come
be
at a cost.
distractions. Yeah, that's right.
Is there anything that people they do with their money that can lead to kind of more stress? Do you see anything that's common that people do?
Yes, it's definitely those people that overwork.
Overwork.
And I think sometimes sometimes it takes a bit of a shock in your family or a close family or friends that you see that there's something that happens in terms of their health, that all of a sudden you realize that that maybe that high achieving isn't as important.
Sure.
And then that makes them take stock and actually stop and go, okay, what am I doing all of this for? If I don't have my health, what's the point of having this money? Because your health means that you can actually go out and enjoy life and have the lifestyle that you're wanting.
That makes a lot of sense. Thanks so much for coming on. Obviously, money and health are linked. Is summary.
100%.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks, Joe.
Thanks. Yeah. So, Rob, I've known you for quite some time. I don't even know how many years, but I'm very fortunate to.
It'd be a decade or
It'd be a while. And very few people that actually are brothers in business. Yeah, like us. Like my brother James as well with me. And I really wanted to just you're from it's Rob Pine from HPH Solutions. I want to make sure that everyone knows that. But I really wanted to talk to you, as I told you before, about your experience with clients' health and how money can impact it, both negatively, but also it can enable and be positive.
Yeah. Well, just to confirm that what HPH stands for is health, prosperity, and happiness.
Oh,
I'm not sure if you knew that.
No, I didn't.
When we first started the business, it was like when people celebrate life, maybe a New Year's celebration, they say, here's to toast to health, prosperity, and happiness, or health, wealth, and happiness. It's about recognizing those three things are so intricately linked that you can't ignore one. You don't want to be the wealthiest man in the graveyard. So it's always making sure that when we sit with clients, we're always thinking about how do we make their life what they want it to be, and money is the means to achieving that. So we know that if people do get preoccupied with finance, that they can ignore things that are more important. You see people often prioritize work and family, work over family, and their family starts to break down. They lose connection with their kids and so on. So our whole philosophy at the business has always been about making sure they live the life they want to live and recognize what makes a complete life and a happy life. And it's not about just having a lot of dollars. So, this is something you talk about all the time on your own podcast. It's not about the money. So I know we're of kindred spirits in that regard. You sort of think the same way. And so I listen to your podcast. I enjoy it. And you've had some awesome guests, my friend.
Oh, we have, including you now. So the work addiction side of it is what I'm really interested in.
Yeah.
When you see someone come through and you can identify that there is a kind of work addiction scenario there, how do you think your advice model can actually firstly uncover that for the client, because they may not be aware of it, and then also allow them the opportunity to change that pattern?
Yeah. Okay. So here's how we go about it. Because we always knew that people said they came for a logical reason around their finances, but then they came and stayed because they got something was qualitative about our work with them, which as an advisor, they actually want to connect with another person to talk about things they worry about and things they fear. So we wanted to quantify that feeling of how they were experiencing money and their finances in their life. And so everyone's heard of and seen a wheel of life type of where you have the 9 facets of life. You got leisure and learning and community and home and family and finances. So we actually ask our clients every year to draw out their wheel. What level of satisfaction do they have in all those areas of their life? So we're asking them to think about something more than the money.
Yeah.
And when they draw a wheel that isn't very smooth, it's often bumpy. It's always bumpy for all of us at some level. We don't judge that. It's about trying to help them articulate what it is that's actually there describing when they draw that wheel. If leisure is low or community is low, we start with what's working first and say to them, you've got pretty strong here on family, or you're really strong here on finances. Tell us about that. We ask them to start. That's called the appreciative inquiry method in social science. So we start with what's working and move into things like where maybe their leisure is at a low level. Maybe their satisfaction is like 5. So tell us about that. Has it ever been higher than that? And they'll say, well, yeah, I used to play hockey with my friends, and I don't play it more because now it's all family and work. And so we just get them to try and articulate what it is that they're not satisfied with there, because we don't want to judge what their life looks like. They're telling us what they're not really completely at ease with in their life. And if there is a few dips in that wheel along the way, we just want to understand that. And we use that as a goal setting exercise.
So that's the awareness piece.
Yeah.
And then from the way your strategies can actually impact, how are you sometimes using money? Like, can you give an example of how money can actually direct or change the course of work addiction?
Yeah. Well, essentially, it's about trying to understand how the client wants to use their money to try and resolve that issue for them. Because if they recognize the reason that those other areas in their life are low is because they are highly geared towards work, and there's actually some surveys we use, like person insights about money, person insights about life balance. We're just using inquiry to get them to learn about their money attitudes, like their money values, and where they got those from. What did you learn about money from your dad? What did you learn about money from your mum? So we ask those questions in a structured way, because it actually helps them to kind of uncover, because they have the answer, but we're just trying to help them to find the answer in themselves, to sort of ask them to work their way through that process, to sort of try to, I guess, become self-aware about this issue. And these tools we use, I guess, are really just a way of uncovering what the client is already demonstrating to us that they're not super satisfied with. So the money is then the means to redirect how to actually resolve for that, because money is the means to solving a lot of problems. It's not going to be the solution for everything, but it does help. If we say, well, what if we actually modify how you're directing your cash flows or your time, because your finances are okay, because we all know ultimately people want to feel secure financially. So if we can give them confidence they will be secure financially, and they can still attend to those areas in their life that perhaps are not yet being appropriately given the time, then they actually are going to be a more well-rounded individual and they'll be happier in their life more broadly. So we don't try to judge or direct. It's very much a inquiry method.
Yeah, it makes
It's
sense.
asking questions. It's helping them to articulate what they're experiencing in their life and why they're maybe those things, where they come about, where those things have originated. Yeah.
Well, that makes a lot of sense, and I think it's in line with what other advisors are talking about, which is that we don't just have a look at their resources and try to grow the pie. It's not just what we do.
Yeah.
We actually look a little bit further into what makes a person tick. And we have a number of different methods that we use, and I really like your approach. It's fantastic. So thanks for your contribution to this mishmash of conversations I'm having today. Appreciate it.
Happy to have the chat, Joe.
Good on you.
Always.
Good on you, mate.
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm very happy to report that I've located Jordan Barker from Planning Solo. And I wanted to get you on to just have a word, because I know that you focus on a pretty difficult part of people's lives, which is divorce and that sort of transition. And given we're talking about health and money, how does, I suppose, divorce affect health? And also, how does money can sometimes either alleviate or make it worse?
Yeah, I think it's a really interesting one, because divorce doesn't just happen. There's a leading period, and there's often an impact then, I think, on your health. Your health becomes less of a priority because you focus on everything else dissolving. So your health deteriorates then. When you go through divorce, the big impact in my experience, what I've seen, is mental health. It consumes your world. It consumes all of your bandwidth. So you struggle to get through. You push through. When you get to the point where money is being discussed, you are often in a freeze, fight or flight situation. So the mental health stays in a really dangerous situation. So what we find with the money advice is, if we can get money into the situation, you can start focusing on little wins. You can put money towards exercising, dietitian, something like that, to help you feel like you're taking back a bit of control. You can get the therapy you need to help you process what's going on, because it's a grieving process. You need to do that. And you can also just spend money on looking good. And this all costs money. So freeing up the money from that makes a big difference. The final one is the completion of the process puts a cap on that. And then people have a real choice of, do I want to stay in this trench that I'm in, which leads to very negative health outcomes, or do I want to start making some changes? So that's where money is a huge benefit.
I really love that, Jordan, because I often think that from an Australian consumer awareness point of view of what we do as advisors, often we're thought of as the accumulators. But what you're talking about is sometimes we can actually allocate reserves to something that is needed in the now. And I think that's a beautiful message to let people know that we can change lives quite profoundly. It's not just about, share
Investment returns.
investment returns. So thanks so much for your contribution. But finally, in respect of what you do, are there some common mistakes that are made, in your opinion, when it comes to money and the separation that can lead to really poor health outcomes?
That's a really good question. I think the most common one for me is we see people even early in the process, but later on when they come find us, they're frozen. So they're sitting on a pool of money they don't want to touch because they're terrified of what that could mean. They don't know what their future's going to look like. Most people don't until they talk to us, right? So being able to give them some clarity over that and give them this permission to spend money. I remember I had one client, she wanted an EV for 2 years and she wouldn't buy it. She never gave herself permission. She had plenty of money in the bank. So one of our jobs over 2 years was to help her give herself permission to buy that car. Made a big difference.
That's amazing. Thanks so much for being on.
Not at all. Thanks a lot. Cheers.
With a person who has great curly hair.
Some would say the best curly hair on film right now.
Absolutely. Nathan Fradley from Fradley Advice. I thought we could talk a little bit about how you see money interplay with health.
Mhm.
Maybe some of the mistakes that people make that might interfere with their health around the decisions they make with their money.
Yeah.
Perhaps you can just riff with me.
Yeah, sure. I think this is super important thing in so many ways, but a lot, as you would know, but yeah, I do a lot of work with vulnerable people, often coming out of major life moments, like, lost a partner, divorce, caring for a parent for a long time and then putting him into care. And what we see really commonly is people turn to care for others, and they always look to care for others, and they slowly stop caring for themselves more and more and more and more and more. And I don't mean that in health and fitness, but I mean in all sorts. They don't give themselves permission to do anything for themselves.
Yes.
And one of the most successful things I think I found in working with these people is getting them to, we literally take some of the money, $5 grand, 10 grand, whatever it is,
that would not affect the long-term plans, and they have to use it only for themselves.
Yes.
And a lot of the time, it's a health and fitness aspect.
So that's a really good point. So this idea of getting a little bit of the money, taking a little bit of the money and actually using it on themselves, it requires you to have some acuity as an advisor on what's possible and what's not. And that's probably the value of advice in some sense.
Why do they seek advice? Why are we retirement planning? Why are we investing money in getting an income? Right? So, we go to the old conferences and they'd be like, my clients don't have any goals. I just manage their money. It's like, no, why do you manage their money? What are they using it for? They're using it to have a really good standard of living. How do they have a good standard of living? How do they have that for the long term? They're healthy, they're fit, they move, they can go on that holiday. Work with a woman at the moment, her husband passed away. They were supposed to go to Europe in 2 years. She needs a knee reco, but is at the level where she could rehab it. She doesn't want the surgery. So we're taking some of the money, putting it into PT. She knows that she can afford the PT and she still has more than enough money. So she's going to go and do the work so she can take that holiday.
Yeah.
It's
an exact example of how great acuity, great advice, great clarity leads to good health outcomes. And I think that's really what we're trying to do.
100%.
Right? Look, thanks so much for coming on. Appreciate it.
It's got to
Great
be now.
to see you.
It'll be now a podcast episode. Right?
Well, I reckon maybe, but what product are you using in your hair at the moment?
Right now, I actually the leave-in conditioner is a blue bottle. I can't remember what it's called. You might.
Yeah, be sexy hair.
Yeah, and then the gel I use is a purple bottle. I can't remember what it's called. Anyway.
Good man. Thanks so much for coming on. All right, I'm here with Martin McGrath, and your business is Financial Edge Group.
Yep.
And I literally gave you no notice, but we are talking about the way health and money interacts with each other,
Yep.
and when it comes to the way we work with our clients. So, do you see any common mistakes as a starting point that clients tend to make, which can lead to stress or health problems down the track?
I think like many things, like having a plan, and knowing what they're doing. And I think often on more of the mistakes around, think that money kind of by itself is going to create the happiness or the health, but often it may not always be the case. And I'm working harder and more, that creates more stress. That yes, my bank account balance might look healthier or my super balance might look healthier, but I'm probably actually not healthier by itself, kind of thing. And
How do they identify when they get to that point where
I don't think they do.
Okay.
And a lot of the work, I only work with retirees.
Yes.
So often it's more for me around, hey, you're 65, you can afford to retire.
Okay.
Yeah, you're saying you don't like work and you're stressed and da-da-da. Let me show you can retire.
So you're telling him to earn less.
To go, you're going to work, you're not working for money in theory, or you are. If you're working for your kids' inheritance, you're not working for yourself.
Yeah.
And so let's prioritize that. And often it's then getting the message across is leaning on their spouse. Because often it's the spouse who's identifying, he's stressed or he hasn't been healthy, he hasn't been sleeping well, or she vice versa, and going, this is the important bit. I can show you here this chart, you're not going to run out. You work for another 2 years, all that's going to change is the kids are going to end up having more. So let's prioritize that.
So how does financial advice change the pattern that has been set for many years? And what does it not do sometimes?
I think ideally it's, just converts that or that unknown or that fear.
Yeah.
No. Hod car, you need this much in super, you need that much in super. There's no magical number.
No.
It's about relating what your situation is to what your needs and goals are.
Yep.
I actually, client a few weeks ago had that. He's like, well, I was going to work to this age, but I hate work, I'm stressed and da-da-da. But I want to be able to retire on 100 grand a year. And so I just showed him a pathway. Well, if you can, but you need to work for X, or you need to downsize, or you could retire tomorrow and live off 80 grand a year. It's not my job to say which is the right option, but to empower someone to be able to make that decision. And so I think what it does is it just empowers people to be able to make those decisions by connecting the numbers on your super statement to what that might mean for day-to-day life.
Yeah.
But then that transition is still hard. That purpose, having that meaningfulness and that respect and going, that mental stimulation that is going to keep you young and keep you active as well.
Yeah. So there's like what we can work on is the financial side to actually give awareness.
Give that confidence to that.
Yeah.
But then there's still, they're the one, walking in their own shoes. It's waking up every day. They still need to solve some of that.
There's a psychological element to us as well.
Yeah, we can build a framework around the financial stability.
Yep.
And often that does take a lot of pressure off by itself straight away.
Yep.
But what activities they want to fill that with is up to them.
Well, I think that's a great way to leave it. I appreciate you coming on.
Right, perfect.
It's going to be a mishmash of many different advisors, and I appreciate your contribution.
Cool. Perfect. Thanks, Joe.
Good on you.
See you, mate.
So I hope you've enjoyed the mishmash of different advisors that I've had a conversation with today about health and money. I hope, I suppose what I'm reflecting on now is that really when we think about it, a lot of the stress associated with the financial, people's financial situations are as a result of having a lack of awareness and a lack of planning going forward. And this can mean compromising one's health over many years, which has an aggregate response and issue when it comes to longevity. So I think, good financial advice is one part of this story, because with that awareness, it allows you to understand how much time you can have to spend with your family, to allocate time to your health and your exercise, and all those things that really matter in life that people can tend to forget about when we get so busy. So again, I think really having a financial advisor, having someone that helps you with money-related decisions isn't just helping your financial life, it's actually helping your life, full stop. And ultimately, I think that's what Australians need to know about the link between sound financial advice, good financial advice, and a number of different facets of well-being, and specifically for this season, health.
If you have resonated in any way with the sentiments of this podcast, we would be delighted to direct you to our website, www.itsneveraboutmoney.com.au, for more free resources and education aimed at improving your capacity to make sound financial decisions for the benefit of your family. We wish you every success, however you define it.